Alright, so in this problem, how much fence would you need in order to enclose the entirety of my rectangular front lawn below? Express your answers in fraction form. Mathematics really depends on your ability to solve problems, and solving problems depends on your ability to know what problem it is you're solving. So let's spend a minute to make sure we know what we're doing here. We want to know how much fence. How much fence? Okay, we'll have to think about that. To enclose the rectangular front lawn in fraction form. Okay, so let's take that one step at a time. Enclosing means putting it around it. So when we enclose something, we put something completely around it. And so this enclosure has a certain length. You know, if this is 1 foot from, I don't know, here to here, then I want to know how many of those 1 feet length of fences do I need to surround this completely. And this length around here we often know as the perimeter. So we could restate this problem as, you know, what is the perimeter in fraction form of this rectangle. Now we know it's a rectangle, which means we know that since we know that this length is 22 3/8, and we know that this length is 1/16 over 7 feet, we also know that the opposite sides of a rectangle are the same length, which I'll mark like that. So we need to know these are 1/16 over 7 feet, and the other one is 22 3/8. And so the perimeter means you add up all the sides, you add around. This is an area, you're not multiplying, and we know the dimensions. So now it just becomes a matter of executing, and I need to leave my answers in fractions. So adding this up, I have 22 3/8 for the left side, feet, plus the bottom, 1/16 over 7 feet, plus the right side, plus 22 3/8 feet, plus the top, 1/16 7 feet. Alright, so how do we add these up, keeping fractions fractions? Well, a couple things to think about. There's like at least 5 different strategies I can think of, probably more. There's no one strategy that's more legitimate than another, and that's really important to consider, is that there's lots of ways to attack this problem. One way I might consider is to be able to just get the denominators the same, because I can't add a half and a third until I get the bottoms to be the same. And the way I do it is I multiply the top and bottom by something to make them the same. In this case, get them to be 6. So 3 over 3, 2 over 2. Same idea on this bottom problem. But I have 22 3/8. 22 3/8. So many people would say, well, let's convert this to a mixed fraction. You can do that. That's fine. So the problem you're thinking about is if I have eighths of pizza, if I have slices of pizza that are 1/8 of a pizza, how many slices do I need to make 22 whole pizzas? Well, 22, I need 8 of them, and then 8 to make a whole pizza, and then 22 of those whole pizzas. So really I need 22 times 8 to figure out how many eighths I have. And then I have another 3/8 on top of that. You'll notice also that I have 2 of the same things here, and 2 of the same things here. So rather than just adding them, adding something to itself is the same as multiplying it by 2. So I'm going to just represent this as 2 of these plus 2 of these other things, which are 1/16 7 feet. And these are in feet as well. So continuing now my work, so excuse me, I'll carry it down here. So 22 times 8. Let's see, get my calculator out. We might as well get used to these TIs if you're using them in class. In my class you will be, so let's just get used to using them. So I'm doing 22 times 8. Enter. So I get 176 eighths plus 3 eighths, and twice as much of that, plus 2 times 116 sevenths. Well, I can do that. Remember, when I have 2 of the 216 sevenths, that does not equal, 2 times 116 over 2 times 7, right? Because as you can see, this is 2 over 2, which is just 1, so I'm not actually changing the value. When I multiply, I only multiply the numerator. So 2 times 116 is 232 over 7. Continuing here, I can add these two now that they have the same bottoms. So that's 179 over 8 times 2 plus 232 over 7. So now I can double. Again, let me double the 179. It gives me 358. So I'll do that just here, so I can save space. 358. So now I need to figure out how to add these. Well, there's some tricks here. The first thing is you need a common denominator. The common denominator is 56. That's the lowest number that 8 and 7 have in common. So I need to multiply top and bottom here by 7 and here by 8. And so 358 times 7, again on my calculator, 358 times 7 is 2506/56 plus 8 times 232 times 8, 1856/56. So adding those two together, so I can just say plus, and it'll take my last answer. So I just have to add the 2506 and enter. So I have 4362/56 feet. That's how much I need. That's going to be kind of hard to go to a store and ask for that. So what happens when I actually divide this by 56? 77.89285716. I can't really ask them for that. Can I have 77.89285714 feet? It's kind of hard to know what that means. So we're going to try to get this into fraction form, but in an understandable mixed fraction. So I need the decimal part in a fraction, but the whole number to stay the same. So I know I have 77 and something. So I'm going to take my 77 off of this number and then convert it to a fraction. So the way now you can do this is if you hit math, frac, it says now take my answer, make it a fraction, you hit enter again, it says it's 25/28. So I need 77 and 25/28 feet. They're more likely to try to be able to figure that out. They could divide the whole foot into 28ths and then give you 25 of them. So that is how much I need. But we're not done yet. So let me shrink this down and see if we can finish the problem, because we haven't answered all the questions yet. 77, 25/28 feet. Let me move that over here so we can use it. Blow it up. Okay. If each foot costs $14.97 plus sales tax, how much would the fence cost? So for each foot, I'm going to be paying $14.97. So I need 77, almost 78 of those 14.97s. So this becomes a multiplication problem. 77 and 25/28 times 14.97. That should tell me how much it costs. Now you'll notice I use parentheses. I can use the dot. There's lots of ways of representing multiplication. So I get my calculator out, and I'm going to need to now add that 77 back on. Takes me back to my original number, times 14.97. So I get 1,166.056. So that would round to 0.06. Because if the number is because I'm trying to round to cents, which is the second decimal point, and so the 6 is bigger than 5, or it's 5 or bigger. So you round up. If it were lower than 5, you round down. So So this is how much it costs. Now you notice I don't need it in fraction form, right? I need it in the form that makes sense. Money goes down to cents, so I would need $1,166 to build this fence. So the key ideas here, know what perimeter is, know how to define a problem, and apply a strategy, right? There's many strategies you can apply. There isn't one right way to solve this problem, or most problems. What else? Sales tax. Oh, I haven't even gotten to sales tax yet, so I'm not even close yet. So good, I'm glad I went back and checked my objectives, because sales tax isn't there yet. So how do I find sales tax on this base amount? Well, I could look at 8.8%, which is 8.8%, 100 cents in a dollar, so out of 100, which could be rewritten as 0.088. And so many people think of this problem as, okay, well, I take this number, and I multiply it times that, and then whatever I get, I add it back to my original amount. I would maybe try to convince you that there's a quicker way. So take this and multiply it by 1, because when I multiply it by 1, I'm keeping the whole thing plus another 8.8%. 1 as a percent is 100%. And this is 8.8%. So really I'm multiplying it by 108.8%, which means I'm keeping the original and adding another 8.8%. So when I do this multiplication, I do 1166.06 times, and I'm going to open a parentheses, 1 plus 0.088, close the parentheses, hit enter, and so it's now 1268.67. So if I just went to the store with 1166.06, they'd say, sorry, I can't sell you enough because you need to pay sales tax. So sales tax is just a multiplier converting the percent to a decimal and then multiplying it times 1 plus it so that I keep the original amount.